Welcome to another gear recommendation video. I like to do this weekly just to recommend little bits of gear that I use, that I've discovered, that I find to be really helpful. Gear is expensive. We spend a lot of money on it. Not all of it is really worth the money that we spend, but every once in a while you find those little bits that are worth the money. And I just like to talk about those and recommend some of the things that I've found that are very useful. And in many cases, they're relatively inexpensive because those are the best bits of gear you can get, the ones that don't cost much but have a real positive effect. So today we're going to talk about these cold shoe mounts that are actually levels. So this purchase was made from Amazon. It was not given to me. This is not a sponsored video. I bought this with my own money. The brand of this product is called Fotyrig or Fotyrig. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce it, but they're technically called camera level, hot shoe bubble cover combo pack. But let's just take a quick look and see what they are. You get 3 different levels that go into your hot shoe or cold shoe mount on your camera, your tripod, or your attachment handle, whatever you're using. And these things are really great if you do a lot of landscape, architectural, maybe even portrait work, because they basically allow you to make sure your camera is completely leveled. Of course, the value of these things is going to be, to some degree, dependent upon the kind of gear that you're already using. For example, many tripods, let's pull this one out, already have a level built into it, which is very similar to this one here. But if on this one here, if I've got my camera mounted, it's going to be covering the little level. So you have to level your tripod first. And then here's another smaller tripod. And again, this one has a built-in level, but it's off on the side here. So at least this one doesn't get covered when you put the camera on, but this is a pretty low tripod. So you've got that down. It's a little difficult to actually see your level indicator unless you're doing a shot like that. Yes, the tripod already has its built-in level, but it's not really helpful when you're actually shooting. Now, some cameras, like this Sony, will actually have a built-in leveling screen. But again, you have to be looking at the screen for it to be useful. So you have to have it up on your screen and you have to be able to see your screen, so it can't be too sunny. You can't be facing too far upwards. You can't have your screen pulled way off to the side. So again, yes, the functionality is there, but it's not always in the most accessible place. And that is where these little things come in. These things are super cheap. I don't know, I think this was $10 for the set. So what you basically get in this is you get 3 different types of levels that fit in your hot shoe or cold shoe. You get these 2 small ones, which are basically your hot shoe or cold shoe cover. These are kind of a rubberized material, plastic rubber, and they just slide right into your, in this case, your hot shoe on this camera, and they will protect the hot shoe to some degree. I mean, there's a little gap, but they basically give you the general leveling. You can watch that bubble, and if that bubble's in the middle, then you know you're basically leveled or close to level, which is the same information that's on those tripods, but because it's right on top of the camera like this, it's a lot easier to use and to see. Then additionally, they have these other options which give you more information. So this one gives you 2 dimensions, and you have 2 options on the hot shoe. You can mount it vertically on the bottom, or you can mount it horizontally with the side. So you can either put it in like this, which basically sort of gives it to you in a vertical orientation, or you can put it in like this, which sort of gives it to you in a horizontal orientation. And this is nice because depending on your camera setup, some of these orientations may work better than others. For example, on this camera right here, I have this small rig cage on the camera, which actually gets in the way of this orientation because it won't push all the way in. So I just flip it over to this orientation, and now it goes right in and fits perfectly. But on this one here, this other cold shoe mount, You can use either orientation, either your vertical or your horizontal. And then once you have it in here, then you actually have two levels. You have your horizontal level, which shows you how centered you are on the horizontal, and then you have your vertical level. So if you put it in this way, you can basically see your front to back level, and you can also see your horizontal level side to side. And that allows you to tell just by looking down at the top of the camera, are you level or not? And if you put it in like this, then you can look down at the top level and see how you're aligned there. And then you also have your horizontal level down here. You also get this third dimension one, which basically gives you three options for looking at your leveling. So this one, you can see your side to side level. And then you can also see right here, you can see your front to back level, or you can look at it from this direction. You can basically move this from camera to camera and position it how you see fit. So for example, on this one here, I can mount it in my top handle, and now I have the whole leveling for the camera very, very visible. Or let's unlock the shoe here. We can use the smaller one and put the smaller one on, and we again get that same information, the side to side and the front to back. I would say the one downside to these mounts is that they work better in some hot shoes or cold shoes than in others, because as you notice here, they don't have any ability to sort of screw down tightly to the hot shoe or the cold shoe. It's really just a piece of plastic. So in some mounts, they're just not going to fit that well. They're not going to be very stable. Like for example, this one here, it's just going to fall out. You know, you're not going to be able to keep it in to this one. And like on this one here, same kind of thing. It'll push in and it'll sort of stay, but all you have to do is turn the camera and it'll fall out. But if you're using this hot shoe right here, it'll fit nice and snugly into that one, and it doesn't go anywhere. And likewise on this one, where you've got a lock, so this top handle has this shoe on it, cold shoe, and it's got a little locking thing there. And on this one, you can push this in here, and it will actually lock. And even though it's not completely tight, it's not going anywhere. It'll stay in there. And these little ones, these won't always go into every cold shoe mount because they don't have enough clearance. You kind of have to force it in a little bit, see if it goes. So it does go in that one, but you really just kind of have to force it in there. It's very secure. But these small ones tend to work better in the actual hot shoe mounts themselves, where they tend to slide in and do a pretty good job covering the hot shoe area. Just goes right there. If you don't do much landscape, if you don't do much architectural, then maybe these things have limited value to you. But for me, I am always trying to get a level shot of something. And I've been using these things now for a couple months. They're really, really helpful as far as providing easy access to the leveling information. And I don't have to mess around with screens, and I don't have to try to find the information on the tripod before I put the camera on. I don't have to squat down beside to find the little level on the side of the tripod. The only real downside to them, obviously, is they use up a mount, a cold shoe mount or a hot shoe mount on your camera. And so that's why, for me, I like using cages, small rig cages, and I like using attachments that give you additional cold shoe mounts. So there, and on this one, I have both the cage and the top handle. There's one underneath. You know, you could even put this one down here. Again, it's not gonna stay. And that's, like I said, that's one of the problems with these is if the cold shoe mount doesn't fit exactly right, it is gonna fall off. But for me, I usually put them right up here at the top of the camera. And they work really well. And it is so nice to be able to sit there. You've got your gear, you know, on your tripod, right? Clamp it down, and you're adjusting your tripod. And I've got this little level back here, right? But if I'm facing down, if I'm facing across the camera, that is not easy to see. But right up here on the top, I know exactly where I am front to back, and I know where I am left to right. And I just get it into position, and then you can just clamp down on your tripod. Once you get it there, get it where you want. And you know you're good, and you've got your level horizon. And these things have made a big difference as far as being able to get those good shots where everything's actually straight. So I hope this gear recommendation was helpful. I hope maybe you took something away from it. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with another one.